Welcome to RelyLocal Frederick Business Radio Spotlight. For the next 30 minutes, you will hear fast-paced interviews, unique perspectives, and valuable insight from real people who believe that empowering local business is everybody's business. This show is about the backbone of America, small businesses right here in and around the communities where we live, work, and play. And now, your host, Caressa Flannery, brings you RelyLocal Frederick's Business Radio Spotlight.
Hello, this is Caressa Flannery, the host of the RelyLocal Business Spotlight. I hope everyone is doing well out there this wonderful summer that we're having. I'm sure a lot of people wonder what RelyLocal is all about. So basically, we support local businesses in the Frederick County area. A healthy community depends on a healthy economy, and both completely depend on the local businesses that we have in Frederick. Simply put, more money spent with these local businesses stays here, about 68%, where much less money spent with national chains stays in the area, only about 14%. And money that you spend online, well, unfortunately, it simply leaves us forever. To us at RelyLocal, supporting local businesses doesn't stop with the economy. It's about creating a stable and vibrant community. Frederick businesses create the jobs in the area, tax revenue for schools, parks, and roads, while offering diversity in the marketplace with unique products and services that you can't find in big box stores or chain restaurants. And not to mention, these local businesses are owned by the very people who sponsor our Little Leagues, donate to local charities, and volunteer for community events, giving back to the community in countless ways. You rely on them, but can they rely on you? And did you realize that every dollar you spend with a Frederick business stimulates our local economy? Yep, that's right. You don't have to break the piggy bank to support these local businesses either. Refocusing just simply $20 of your current spending toward a local business or local businesses instead of online, national, or big box merchants can have a major impact in our community. And folks, that's what it's all about, is supporting our local community. So I hope everybody out there makes a plan to be able to do that. And today we are meeting with a partner in a law firm here in the local area of Frederick. And I have with me Diane Kotkin, who is with Offit Kurman Attorneys at Law. So welcome, Diane.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited. This is actually going to be an interesting segment because it's a lot of information that I think maybe not a lot of people know about, but it's really essential to life.
Really is. I know it is.
It really is. One of the subjects that we'll be talking about is estate planning, and probably a lot of people maybe don't know what that is exactly, or how, or what's entailed. Maybe they know maybe a broader sense, but we'll get into some specifics. So first off, we want to just give people a little bit of your background, and just to get to know you a little bit and how you got started in this field.
Okay. Well, I'm proud to say that I live and work in Frederick. And I am a principal at Offit Kurman, and we have an office right in downtown Frederick. And Offit Kurman, when I started, was a small firm. It was formed just outside of Baltimore in 1987, and it was we had a small niche practice. We were, as the needs of our clients grew, so did our firm. I think when I started, I was attorney number 40. Now we have over 100 attorneys.
Wow.
So we have 8 offices in Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, and we practice in numerous areas of law. Our Frederick office is home to 4 attorneys who practice in areas including real estate and business transactions, estate planning, and estate and trust administration. Most of us live in Frederick and are embedded into the community. But Offit Kurman, the reason I even joined Offit Kurman was because of all the services that they were able to provide clients. We can go from business law to real estate law, healthcare, labor and employment, of course, litigation. What law firm doesn't have that? But and construction law, and then my area, which is estate planning and estate and trust administration. You asked me how I got started in this area, how I was pegged into estate planning. So when I graduated law school, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I had a social work degree, so I knew I wanted to work with people. And as I was making this decision, my father suddenly passed away, and he left 4 children, 2 from a previous marriage, and he didn't have a will.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we were all scrambling, trying to figure out, what are we doing? What do we do with his house? What do we do with his cars? Right. So forth and so on. And it just really strained our relationships because we all had 4 different ideas of what to do.
I know some situations like that too, honestly.
So I think it was almost like the light bulb went off, and I said, this is really what I want to do. I want to be able to be proactive and prevent people from being in the situation that I was in.
Right.
Because, your family is who you have for your lifetime. And so I just
and I think too that, when people are in the midst of, doing it after, doing it when it's too late almost.
Right.
Not that it can't be fixed, but, doing it at that point, like you mentioned, they're grief stricken. They're not thinking totally clearly,
right.
At that point. And I can imagine that stress levels and whatever else, anger,
all these things. Mom liked you better. Everything comes out,
yeah.
And it's hard. And it's just something that if you had a will or some type of estate planning document, and I equate that to like a map, at least then you can grieve. But you also know you have your marching orders already. You know what you need to do, but you can and you can grieve and not worry about that stuff because mom and dad or whoever did it already.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you, why is it important? Just specifically, why is it important for someone to have a will prepared, and what's entailed with that? What's the first step? What should they do to actually get that process going? Okay.
Well, it's important. I always ask when someone asks me this question. I always answer with a question, which you're not supposed to do, but I do. I always like to say, well, here's the simple question: do you want the state of Maryland to decide what happens to your property? Yeah. Because if you don't have a will or any kind of type of document, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I have when people come up to me and say, I have a house, it's in my name, but my wife will get it when I die. And if you have adult children...
You hope,
exactly.
If you don't have it documented, it may not happen.
But, if you don't have a will, Maryland law comes into effect. And frankly, it only one half goes to the spouse. If you have adult children, they're going to get the other half. And how awkward is that, to have that? So it's just more of an education factor, but it's very important to have a will to even items such as... I want to be buried or cremated, or I want, this is
to carry on their wishes and what their desires
are. And if you have children and they're minors, who's going to take care of them if you or your spouse or someone is gone?
Exactly.
So you have to appoint a guardian. What's it entail? Make an appointment with with me, or with a estate planning attorney.
Estate planning attorney, right?
Yeah, no, and really. When you go, at least when I meet with my clients, I say, gather a list of assets. Let's talk about it. And we have a dialogue. Let me tell you, no one likes to talk about death and dying, but it's a necessary conversation to have. But we have a dialogue, and I ask. And really, it's the things like, do you have a family heirloom that you want to pass down? It's questions like that. Or if you become incompetent, who do you want to make the decisions for you?
Right.
Who do you want to have access to your bank account? And it's just more of, really the big step you take is to make the appointment and show up.
Listen, we're getting ready to go to a break, so why don't we carry on with that again when we come back after the break. And from Gettysburg to Brunswick and Hagerstown to Mount Airy, may the source be with you. This is Caressa Flannery. We'll be right back.
Owner Richard Riley has been around motorcycles all his life, and if there is one thing he has learned about the business, it's that the customer is number one. If you know Richard, then you know that there is nothing he loves more than to see people experiencing the thrill of riding their own motorcycle. Here is just one of his many faithful customers, putting it in their own words.
Well, I'll tell you, from start to finish, everyone made me feel, right at home. They were always willing to take their time, busy sometimes, but that didn't matter, to talk to me and answer my questions. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Fredericktown Yamaha is easily my number one choice.
What a perfect time of year to get back on a motorcycle. Feel the feeling of freedom and the warm breeze on your face as your bike hugs those turns and you and your friends take those road trips you've only dreamed about. If you've ever thought about trading in that old bike, or experiencing the thrill of owning your first motorcycle, stop by Fredericktown Yamaha and tell Richard Riley and his team that AM 1450 sent you. That's Fredericktown Yamaha, located on Grove Road in Frederick, Maryland. Fredericktown Yamaha, where the fun begins.
My break in rocks in the hot sun. I broke the law and the law won. I broke the law and the law won.
Just want to remind everyone that the Source Radio Network here at WTHU, they are on Facebook, and they would appreciate you being a fan. But RelyLocal Frederick is also on Facebook, so check that out and become a fan and follow both of the organizations today to get all kinds of great information about businesses and fun stuff and all sorts of things. We are here once again with Diane Kotkin. She is a partner at the law firm Offit Kurman. They have a local office in downtown Frederick, and they specialize in estate planning, but numerous other services as well. But we were talking a little bit about some of the services that you provide, and estate planning is what we initially kind of went into. Right. So I think, let's talk about what exactly is estate planning. What is it, and does everybody need to do it? And, what age time frame is appropriate for people to consider it? I mean, should they think about it when they get out of college? Should they think about it when they're in their 30s, 40s, when they're like on a deathbed? I mean, I don't know. I think it's a puzzling entity for a lot of people to consider, and they don't know really when to do it. I guess you're probably the better educated person to explain all that. So.
Well, estate planning is a process. That's how I see it. It is discussing how you want your assets to be distributed upon your death. And we talk about medical issues, if you have incapacity issues or anything to that effect. It's a very important process to go through. So a lot of people overlook it for a variety of reasons, but and it could just be that they say, well, I have too many family issues, I don't want to deal with it. Well, this is the perfect reason to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So so at what age or what time frame, I would, if I could say carte blanche, say everyone over 18 should at least have something. I do prepare many wills for children of my clients who are just going away to college. And a lot of people say, well, I don't need a will. I don't have that much in assets. It doesn't matter. You need to provide that map. You need to provide that guidance and make sure that, your wishes are, taken into effect when you pass away, or if you become incapacitated, that someone can handle your affairs.
Right.
And so, ideally 18, but at any time.
I mean, anybody could walk off of a curb and be hit by a bus. I mean, God forbid, but so I imagine that there probably isn't necessarily a specific time frame for it to happen. Any time is a good time, I guess, when people start thinking about it.
Right.
It could be the best time to, just consult with an attorney, consult potentially with your firm, and just, kind of figure out what all they have to put in place, gather, perhaps, if there's documents and things like that they might need, so they can be better prepared, for what might potentially lie ahead sooner than they realize even. Right. And I think you're right. I mean, a lot of people are sometimes dealing with my parents are older, and I'm thinking maybe I need to sit down with them. Do they have a will? Do they have all this stuff taken care of? Because they're getting older. Not that they're about ready to die, but I'm just saying, there's always that potential, and just the not knowing makes it a little bit more difficult. I mean, my best friend actually had to go through the same thing when her mother passed away. She even thought, I want to write a book about this, because everything I learned, I should put it down, document it, because I've helped so many people already, years later, with like, have you done this? Have you done that? So, I think it's really important for a lot of people to understand this process, understand what the needs, of any given family would be,
Absolutely.
and specific to that. So.
I have to tell you that I had a client whose 18-year-old son was going away to school, and I said, let's just draft up a basic estate plan, do a basic will, have some powers of attorney. And, they did it, which thank goodness they did. He was in a bus accident. They were traveling on to a sports event, and he was in a coma for 6 months. And and since he's over the age of 18, he's an adult. And so parents just can't walk right in and say, all right, do X, Y, and Z. And thank goodness he had his documents and he had his wishes all put in, and how who he wanted to make decisions for him. And so it made the process a little easier, and you can focus on more important things like making sure he's okay.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I mean, heaven forbid people have to deal with that sort of thing, but it's always a better safeguard to have
Absolutely.
those documents put in place, I think. So, okay, so having said all that, what are the top 5 mistakes that people make in estate planning, and how can they be avoided?
Okay, well, first one would be failing to make an estate
Not
plan.
having one. I think that would be a big one, right?
Yeah, I think that, like I was saying, no one likes to talk about death and dying, so you avoid it at all costs.
Yeah.
But, if you don't, the way I see it is, if you don't do this, you're going to leave your family in the dark, and they're not going to know. Yeah. And it's actually potentially that they're going to spend thousands of dollars trying to figure it all out and figure out how to distribute assets. So the first one is make an appointment. Go get your estate plan drafted. Second mistake is forgetting about the little things. And every time I shudder every time I think about this, but I worked on an estate where the mom had passed away, and she had 2 daughters, and they fought over a locket for 2.5 years.
Oh my God!
One daughter said, "Mom promised it to me." The other daughter said, "I never heard that." And Mom was not my client originally, but her will didn't mention anything about this locket. So apparently, it was
Was it valuable? So I guess it must have been.
that they spent. I had over $10,000 in litigation. It was an $800 locket.
Wow.
And so, I say, when I talk to clients, I always think about that. And I said, if there's something like a family heirloom, please, let's talk about this. Let's figure it out now, right. And put it in your document if we have to. But let's get it in writing so we don't have this happen.
Wow.
Yeah. So the third one would be, and this is kind of hard, choosing the wrong person to serve as personal representative or trustee. It's not a glamorous job to serve as a personal representative or a power of attorney, and often you're not compensated for it. It's very stressful, and there are deadlines to be met, decisions to be made. You make sure you're able to select the person who's able to do the jobs. And usually when I with a client and they say, I want my Aunt Sally, I said, well, can we talk to Aunt Sally? Can Aunt Sally come in so she knows what she's getting herself into, especially if there's family conflict?
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, we're getting ready to go to yet another break. So we'll get to the last 2 mistakes that people make when we come back. This is Caressa Flannery. We'll be right back.
Roddy Creek Automotive has expanded its services. That's right, Roddy Creek Automotive is a full-service auto care center featuring auto repair, preventative maintenance, vehicle diagnostics, tire sales, front-end alignments, car detailing, and even car audio customizations. And now they have added a new service, certified pre-owned vehicles. Check out their great inventory of vehicles online at their website, roddycreekauto.com, to find the right car for you and your family, or stop by and see them at their location on Route 15 at Roddy Creek Road in Thurmont today. Tell Brent you heard about Roddy Creek Automotive right here on AM 1450, The Source. Roddy Creek Automotive, helping you get there.
Theme song music there from Law and Order. Love it. Well, I just want to remind everybody out there, we really appreciate you tuning in to the RelyLocal Business Spotlight and the Source Radio Network. But if you ever have any email feedback, if you want to email feedback or questions or interviews or suggestions, you can send that information to rlf@wthu.org, or you can call us at 301-637-6736. And we are back with Diane Kotkin from Offit Kurman Attorneys, and we were just finishing up or talking about the 5 mistakes that people make in estate planning, and you were going to give me the last 2.
Okay.
So what's number 4?
Number 4, don't make your estate plan more complicated than it needs to be.
Gotcha.
I think some people they want to divulge everything and they want to make it very complicated, but that just muddies the water. Your estate plan should be clear and concise, and it shouldn't have many contingencies or legalese in it. So we try to draft in clear language so that if something does happen to the person's, and we're looking at their estate plan, the personal representative or the trustee, whoever it may be, can understand the document and knows what to do.
Yeah.
So that would be number 4.
Okay.
And then
the last one.
Dun, dun, dun. Not keeping your plan up to date. Every estate plan is based on personal and family financial situations and tax laws. Mm-hmm. And, we try every 3 to 5 years to meet with our clients just to, hey,
update.
Check in, how you doing, what's going on. Of course, if there's a major tax change, such as like the estate tax laws just changed again, we'll call and we'll let everybody know. Right. And if there's a reason for them to come in to change their documents, we'll have them come in.
Yeah.
But also,
some people just don't do it, I guess.
Yeah, well, some people don't do it, and that can be a problem.
Yeah.
It could cause tax issues, but also if you have a major life event, maybe you got divorced, or maybe you have grandchildren now, and you want to benefit the grandchildren. Well, we have to update the document.
Just like you got to update your address and various other
That's
things.
right.
I would imagine that that needs to be updated too. Yeah, that sounds like those are 5 reasonable things that I think overall people really should pay attention to. And I imagine that when they set an appointment with your office or with you personally, that you go through all that kind of stuff and allow people to know, what they need to do and not do.
Right. We try.
Yeah. Okay. So your firm, I'm going to switch gears here a little bit because, I think our estate planning kind of handles the death side of things, if I can be so blunt. But now, your firm also handles real estate transactions. So, what do you specifically handle, and, what does that area entail as far as Offit Kurman is concerned?
Okay, well, this, real estate transactions, when we represent companies, companies need space. They need offices, warehouses, stores, shops to conduct their business. In addition, there are other businesses that, their operations consist of buying or selling or leasing or brokering real estate transactions. So since real estate is an integral part of doing business, we have attorneys who do these transactions. And so what do the real estate attorneys do? Well, we can draft and negotiate contracts for the purchase and sale of real estate. We can draft and negotiate leases. So if you're going to lease a building, we can negotiate with them.
And since we're RelyLocal is dealing with a lot of small businesses, I think some of these areas are going to be really critical for some of these businesses to know about, if they're moving to another location.
That's right. Or they're adding another location.
Yeah, exactly.
We can work with the banks and negotiate with real estate financing and development issues. And we also have a very large land use and zoning assessment department, which in Frederick County, as you know, is always a battle here. So and with Frederick,
it's probably good you do that.
Yes.
Exactly.
But we also have real estate settlements. We're finding a lot of clients who are not using a realtor to purchase their home.
Gotcha.
So we'll draft the contract of sale, and we'll go through the process with them, and we'll do the settlement for them. So
great.
I think that's those are the good services that we provide.
Yeah, and then of course you also handle business transactions. I guess setting up entities and things like that. So you want to give us a little bit of information about how you help small businesses in Frederick.
Sure. We'll help with the formation, like you said, of the business. Should it be an LLC? Should it be an S corporation? Right. What's the best entity for you? We'll draft and file the articles of organization, bylaws, operating agreements. If you're going to purchase another business, or if you're going to merge, we will help you do that. Also, we will work with you regarding employment agreements. We have a great labor and employment division. Or if you're going to borrow, we can assist with the borrow and lending transaction with the banks or private lenders. So there are numerous services we can provide businesses.
And small businesses need assistance. I mean, they need help a lot, in getting things started, and even throughout the duration, when they're working their business, basically. So it's great that you guys provide, just a myriad of different details, because I think that'll be good for a lot of people to know if they don't already.
Right.
Just in general that there are attorneys that are assisting with a lot of those services.
I think the great aspect of it is that we just don't perform the task and walk away. We're there with you every step of the way.
You're kind of a partner. I mean, partner with that business to really help them succeed.
We're there when you grow. We're there. We're there anytime you need us. But we don't forget. So we are a partner.
Exactly.
We're a good advisor.
Exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit. I mean, was there any other things that we want to talk about as far as the services that you provide? We kind of covered the big things, right? Okay. So, I know when you and I originally met, we talked a little bit about how your firm is very interested in getting more involved in the community. But what, as far as community service, is Offit Kurman doing right now, here in the Frederick area as it pertains to our community?
Right. Well, we, the attorneys that are in the Frederick office, I mean, if we're just talking about Frederick, most of us live, well, actually all of us live in Frederick County. Mm-hmm. And so, we're members of organizations and boards. Like, I'm on the board of trustees for the Frederick Community College Foundation. We have an attorney on the board for, Frederick Memorial Hospital. Mm-hmm. And, we're involved with RelyLocal now, which we're very excited about. And, I think that we hold ourselves out. Any opportunity we can to help out in the community, we will. We're very active in the Frederick County Bar Association, which is involved in the community as well. I hold seminars I've been asked lately to hold seminars for women who are re-entering the workforce. We talk about estate planning, and then I pair it up with a financial advisor, and we try to protect them in that aspect. So we are, we're involved, and we will, if someone came up to us and said, hey, could you do a speech on, could you help us with this? We're there. That's no problem.
That's great, too, because I think there are a lot of local organizations and nonprofits that, look for people like yourself to come out and speak on specific subjects and things like that. So I think that's good that you are giving back to the community in those ways and sharing your knowledge, with a lot of people. That's really awesome.
It's very important.
Okay, so I guess, we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. So, the all-important thing that we want to make sure that we convey out there and give, the people who are listening to this, the information is we want to make sure that they know if they need estate planning, will preparation. If they need will preparation or estate planning, we want to make sure that they know how to get in touch with you all and how to set an appointment and get started with the process. Or if they're a small business owner and they're, thinking about starting a business, or they've got a real estate transaction, because they're moving someplace or something like that. Now that we all know what your services are, we want to make sure that people know how to get in touch with Offit Kurman, and you specifically, if you would like to give your information. So why don't you give us the whole gamut of the contacts and how they can get a hold of you?
Okay, here we go. Well, we're located at 127 West Patrick Street in downtown Frederick. We're
right across from the courthouse.
We are right across from the courthouse.
How lucky.
We can be reached at 301-575-9700, or you can look us up on the web. We're at www.offitkurman.com. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So I don't think you can miss us.
You are social. Woohoo! All right. Well, that's exciting. And Diane, thank you so much for coming in to do the interview and help to educate people in these different areas, especially the estate planning. I think a lot of people need that assistance, for life and death. I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. It was very good to chat with you a little bit more. Well, folks, we are just about done here. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next program. The Bobby Likas Car Clinic is sponsored by Roddy Creek Automotive. This is Caressa Flannery, the host of the RelyLocal Business Spotlight, and we will talk to you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to RelyLocal Frederick's Business Radio Spotlight right here on AM 1450 The Source. Heard Saturdays at 1:30 p.m., RelyLocal Frederick's Business Radio Spotlight is a movement, a campaign to take us back to what makes America great. Businesses locally owned and operated by you and your neighbors. Thanks for spending your valuable time today with us.